Next up, we have a fantastic session with the one and only Michael Lee. So let's hear it up for Michael Lee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Lee. I'm the Associate Director of Media and Tech Strategy. I'm here today to talk to you about transforming moments into lasting momentum. And we can do that by leveraging data and, of course, visual storytelling. Wait, that's not it. Ooh. But before I go into it, who in this room can tell me what logo this is? And it's not a trick question. And what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Spotify? Music. And what else? Spotify Wrapped, exactly. People have now become accustomed to receiving their Spotify Wrapped, and people are eagerly anticipating to see the listening behavior. We know that when people get it, they share it on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and people are great at driving this FOMO. Well, what Spotify is also good at is creating this brand relationship. So let's see how that translates into the impacts. 425 million tweets, or zeets, 17% in total engagements. This is what Spotify saw with Spotify Wrapped when it launched in 2022 in December. With the app downloads, this is 21% increase. This is something that we saw in 2020, which you can also associate it with high-value actions. Now, from my experience working in the music industry, when you have high daily active users, high app downloads, and also delivering Spotify Wrapped in December, just in time for Christmas music, it's a great combination to really hit those business goals. So what are the key learnings here we can take from Spotify? Make it shareable. Let everyone get involved in the conversation. Repurpose the content. So much work has gone into it. Let's repurpose it and scale it. Participate in year-end reviews. If you haven't done so, then make sure you get involved in it and make sure that you're not missing a piece of the puzzle. There's a great quote here by Alex Bodman. He said that there's a reason why it's such a company priority. We don't just see an increased use base day on day, we also see a lot of people coming back to the platform. And it's no different to what I'm talking about today. Now, what we see here is that with Spotify, they're able to leverage that. And it's not just a case of nice to have, but it's a case of having that business impact and leaving lasting momentum. So here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that Spotify created their first Spotify Wrapped with Movable Inc.? We were fortunate enough to partner with Spotify to bring this initial version to life. The results, 75% increase in engagement, and that's probably due to the lots of social sharing. Now, just one kind of call out here, general call out, is that with the email channel, a lot of our clients tend to use it as a test bed to see what's working, what's not working, and then see you can repurpose that to other channels. So think of your push notifications, your in-app messaging, for example, even the product itself. So if you were fortunate enough to listen to my talk last year with Tom Hargreaves from Sky Betting Gaming, we spoke about this. They have a product called the Super 6, and one of the things they wanted to do was to drive engagement. So what they did in the CRM side is they created a leaderboard where they could pit themselves against their friends and family, and also the TV presenter, Jeff Stelling. It was so successful that it then became a part of the product. What we see here today is no different. Spotify testing on email and then bringing it to the in-app. There are some benefits of year in review. Drive engagement, capture attention, and send relevant content to the customer. And it's worth sharing. Then we bolster loyalty, highlight key milestones, and also treat every single customer as the individual. Reduce churn, show the customer the value they're getting from it, and also the benefits they have yet to discover. So here are some best-in-class media and technology use cases. We have Audible here, going from their journey, year in review, from 2019 all the way to 2022. By the end of 2022, when they launched this campaign, we can see 2.4% lift in revenue, 2.3% lift in listeners, and 3.3% lift in wish listers. And they were able to do this because by this time, The campaign was fully localized, hyper-personalized, high engagement, and 100% automated. And from my time being here, I would say this is one of the best year in review campaigns that I've come across. But to create something like this just doesn't happen overnight. If we go back to 2019, where they first started, or if we just talk in general with any clients, you send the first year in review campaign, and there's a lot of internal buzz first. That people will get really excited about it. The data team wants to know what other data points can we tap into. The business wants to know what other KPIs can we tackle here. This is a similar story to what we're seeing with Audible. When they tested the water first in 2019, it was just English only, limited personalization, low engagement, and inefficient processes. But they got so much buy-in from the business, as you can see here. As they went to 2020, we pushed into 20 data points. 2021, 43 data points. And by 2022, almost doubling it. Then we have Peacock. This is a streaming service from NBC Universal, and it's one of the leading streaming services in the US. They cover various contents, as you can imagine, NBC News, comedy, WWE, all 380 Premier League games. And what they wanted to do was to uniquely celebrate its subscribers by highlighting the most watched programs. And they were able to do this by creating this, what you see at the content offering. So where you see you stream these genres, look at all the genres that are available to them. And as you can imagine, the one that's been colored in, or have colors in it, are the genres they've watched, and the one that's kind of grayed out are the ones they have yet to discover. Now, from this campaign, they saw a 20% lift in churn reduction and a 6% increase in upgrades. And so to really put that into context, there was a survey conducted by TechRadar, and they stated that 50% of the US and UK customers were considering of canceling their subscriptions. So for them to have this result here is a big success for Peacock. We all want to reminisce these cinematic moments, and Sky Germany did exactly that. They created a fully tailored experience from top to bottom. So you can see multiple data points here. You can see the number of hours they've used the service, the best day they would use the Sky, the time of day, the preferred channel, and the bottom left-hand corner where you can see He's Dark Materials. This is their kind of promotional content. And every year review or clients would have different views on how to approach this. Some would just be focused just on the value itself. Some would focus on how to promote other contents. Some would look at how they can upsell or cross-sell. There's no real right or wrong answer. The way I look at it is that it's important to make sure there's value added to it. So I would say just test, because what works for one brand doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for your brand. Now, this campaign alone is hyper-personalized. Now, this campaign here has over 89 quintillion variations. So yes, it's a huge number. Then we have New York Roadrunners. This is an organization behind the New York Marathon, and they sprinted towards the opportunity to really celebrate the marathon runners. They tapped into the CSV and also used the multiple racing stats to visually show the New York borough, which you can see here. The one is in orange, is one there where they've run, and the one that's kind of been grayed out are the areas they've yet to discover or yet to run. And it's a great way for them to really drive those registrations. What I love about this campaign here is the way they put in multiple stats. So think of your number of total races, total miles on the left-hand side, and being able to share that on social media. Now, it's almost taking a screen grab of it and putting it there. And when you put it on social media, you can encourage others to join with you, or it's just a case of you just being able to celebrate that moment with others. Now, this is Betfair's first Slotify Wrapped Year in Review campaign. I think I saw Anthony walk in somewhere. So you probably saw this earlier as well. So this is their way to thank customers for their loyalty and remind them of the memories they've shared together, putting key data points that's relevant. Look at the numbers, 378 days that they've been together, showing that they've been on this journey together, showing their favorite game, also showing how much money's been given away to everyone in terms of prize pinball, and how much money they've been given as part of that as well. Now, this is their first attempt at the year review, and they saw an 85% increase in clicks versus monthly value statements. There's always the question of, When is the perfect time to send a year in review campaign? Is it Q4? Is it Q1, for example? And the way I kind of look at this is, when does it make sense to the customer? And I look at this as moments in review. So think of your Premier League. It starts from August, it ends in May. So you can wrap it up then in June. The World Cup, for example, June to July, wrap it up in July or August. Music, summer music, what are your favorite tracks? Wrap it up. Christmas music as well. So these are great moments to really showcase that to the customer. You don't have to wait until the end of the year. We saw this example earlier that's shown by Tammy and Anthony earlier with the Cheltenham one. And the Cheltenham is one of the biggest horse racing events here in the UK. And they're looking at ways to get them really excited about it. Taking data points from August the 1st, 2022, and then putting up to Cheltenham, which takes place in March. Now, there are key data points here, you can see, but two things that I really love about this campaign is the fact that when you look at the middle screenshot where you got the betting slip, this is something that you almost kind of see when you go into a betting shop, you write down what your bet is, give it to the cashier, and you have your fingers crossed and hopefully it comes in. And this is exactly replicating that experience to reminisce that winning moment for you. So using image personalization and using almost like a handwriting to showcase that. The other part of this is on the right-hand side, where you can see how they fare against punters. This is fantastic, and it's something that we see across multiple verticals. Sometimes we see in video gaming as well. If you're a video gaming fan and you're into first-person shooter, you're probably interested in terms of what's your accuracy, what's your kill-death ratio versus your friends as well. So I love the way that they compared it. And from this itself, now, although this one here is not CTA-driven, it's more on the value itself, what they saw is they saw 51% of customers who engaged placed a bet within 4 hours. Again, really honing on when you put value at the forefront, things fall into place. Bungie. These are the developers behind the likes of Halo and Destiny 2. So if you play Destiny 2, you've probably received this email on the left-hand side. But a few key stats here, which I find interesting. Now, on the kind of the 3 yellow icons that you can see with the guns, these are what are called exotic weapons. And what they're doing here, as you can imagine, showing the customer or the player what their favorite weapon was throughout the entire year. Now, what they've also done here is to overlay another additional data point, and that is how many enemies they've killed using this particular weapon. Now, to many people in the room who are not video gamers or first-person shooters, it doesn't land with them. But to anyone who plays a first-person shooter, this data here is incredible, and it's definitely worth shouting about. We talked about content discovery earlier. Bungie does a great job at this. If you can see at the bottom here where it says play type, you can see 100%. This game here has 3 different types or class types. Hunter, you have the Titan, and the Warlock. I believe the 100% is the Warlock, and it's also a nice way to showcase customers that you haven't played with the other 2, and it's a nice way to increase that longevity of the game, get them back in the game itself, and also to increase the gameplay and maybe the spend as well. At the bottom, we can see the activity breakdown. Now, what I haven't mentioned with this Destiny 2 game is that it's what we call a live service game in the video game industry, meaning that you can't actually finish the game. It's not your typical Sonic or Mario. It's a game that's content that's constantly been added every single 2 to 3 months. And what Destiny's done here is they call it seasons. So you have seasons of plunder, the Witch Queen season. And I remember I talked about how can we scale certain areas. Now, knowing that we look at moments, if you look at these seasons of plunder, it lasts for maybe 2 to 3 months. They've replicated the exotic weapons from the year in review campaign, pulled it across and made it relevant just for that particular campaign there. Again, putting exotic weapons for that season. Also the enemies killed for that. So it's a great way of repurposing content where you've taken such a long time to build onto it as well. At the bottom, we can see the social aspect of this as well. This is incredibly important for any gamers to really shout about it. Now, what Bungie is really good at is managing the customer expectations by really creating a personalized experience. By doing that, they saw a decrease in unsubscribe rates year over year. But one thing that's really astonishing for me when I think about it is the talk that I had with the Bungie CRM lead last year at Think Summit. And he said to me on the fireside chats that the year in review campaign was so successful that they had players that had unsubscribed from email asking them, Why aren't I receiving the year in review campaigns? And that's a great problem to have. And so we saw two things that benefit from this: the customer opting back in to receive the year in review campaigns, and of course, Bungie's email subscribe rates going back up. If you remember what Alex Bodman said from Spotify, he spoke about the Spotify Wrapped campaign is great to get lots of players back to the platform. It's no different to what we're seeing here today with Bungie. They are driving people back not only to the email channel, but also to the gaming platform itself. Build on your year in review strategies. So one of the first things you can do here is to capture zero-party data. So live polling. Remember the example I gave you earlier from Peacock, the content offering, different genres. If the customer has yet to watch WWE or comedy, for example, live poll them. Are these content of particular interest? Yes, WWE. Follow up and show them the latest events as well. So it's a great way to build upon it. Drive benefit awareness. What benefits are they aware of? Or what aren't they aware of? And bring it to the forefront. Increase conversions. There's a time and place for value statements to put the conversion at the forefront. I strongly believe it's around value. And what you can do is just repurpose some of the content for another comms and have that conversion element to it. The key takeaways from this all: have a customer-centric approach. We know what the business wants. We know what the goals are. But what is it that the customers want? So we have to put it in the forefront and look at data points that is relevant to them. And when you look across media and tech, it's so different from one another, from video gaming, from streaming. So all the data points is completely different to one customer to another. Again, we talk about video gaming. Could be about the enemies, how many enemies you defeated. Sports streaming, what teams do you support? Think about what data point is of interest. Year in review is just one piece of the puzzle. You can't just send one hyper-personalized campaign and think everything will fall into place. You can't just think that all the click rates go up, revenue goes up, and it's all fun. What we're saying here with the year review is that you have to build up to it, similar to what we've seen with the Bungie's example. Manage the customer's expectations and go beyond year review and look at ways to personalize that experience. Challenge best practices. If you Google right now what is the best practices for CTA, they will say that if there's no CTA, you're leaving money on the table. I beg to differ. When you put value at the forefront, and from my experience working here and seeing with the customer or the client examples that I've seen, value at the forefront, we've seen with video gaming, they've seen incremental game played, incremental money spent on the store. Streaming, no difference. Incremental time spent on streaming new content. So think about it and just test and see what works for you. And when you talk about conversions, because a lot of business talk about, well, we need to put a CT in, talk about conversions. There's a time and place for it. And this campaign alone is all about value. So create the value statement. And for you to do that, you just simply need to add value. Thank you.